Hello friends, welcome to this part 2 of how to explore for platinum group of minerals video. In part 1, we learned about the occurrence distribution and uses and the typical features of the platinum group of minerals, especially their occurrence in the layered igneous complexes along the margins of the intrusives of mafic, ultramafic into the volcanosedimentary sequence or any other sequences, hydrothermal alteration. Our teacher continues to be Dr. Nathan, who is a specialist in this field. Dr. Nathan was instrumental in discovery of the Sitampudi layered mafic ultramafic complex and PGE mineralization in there. This complex is located in South India along the Kaveri Suture zone in Tamil Nadu. Dr. Nathan was awarded the National Geoscience Award in 2011 for the discovery of the platinum group of elements in this layered ultramafic complex. Today, Dr. Nathan takes us on an exciting trip to Sitampudi and he explains what was his exploration strategy, what were the works that he conducted, how he became successful in discovering the Sitampudi mafic ultramafic platinum group of metals deposit. Thank you, Dr. Nathan.
Good morning, Dr. Amit, and good morning to all. Now I will take you to one particular prospect which has been explored in detail by us in South India. Now, as far as our Indian subcontinent is concerned, so far we have about 8,000 square kilometer of obvious geological potential areas exposing ultramafic complexes, which are the favorable target areas for PGE exploration. So we explored these major complexes in India, among which were the positive, very encouraging results, significant results we could identify in these three major prospects. One is the Paula Naushahi in Odisha, Singhbum Kratam. Then we have here in this Sitabundi complex in Tamil Nadu, in South India. Then we have the Hanamalapura complex in Karnataka, that is within the Dharwar Krata. These are the three complexes which has been studied fairly in detail, and we have been able to identify some resources with 1 ppm of platinum and palladium cutoff. So I will be just taking you to this Sitamundi complex in South India, which is somewhat similar to our Bushwald complex in terms of its that layering, and we can see how the technique field techniques were adopted in this to delineate the mineral zones. So within this Tamil Nadu, this particular zone, which is defined in red line, is considered to be a suture zone in which the Neopoterozoic mobile belt got aggregated with the Dharwar Krata. This is all the Archean elements we have, which is the southern continuation of the Dharwar Krata, and we have the Neopoterozoic, essentially Neopoterozoic mobile belt, which is its counterpart in the East Gondwana Assembly. We have Madagascar in the side, eastern side, and we have the Antarctica and Australia, Western Australia, and then Sri Lanka. And this southern part is collated with this Dharwar Krata along this suture, that is the Kaveri suture zone, we call it. So here we have number of ultramafic complexes coming from Kerala, Attapadi Valley. Here it is Mettupalayam, and here we have the Sitamundi and opposite complex. This is very well documented, very well studied and documented ultramafic anorthosite chromatite complex, and it is Neo-Archean age 2,600 million years. When we see the geological map, we can see, I have just only shown the geological map of this Sitamundi anorthosite complex. We essentially within the Neo-Archean gneisses of a tonalite granodiorite composition with the older metamorphites occurring as enclaves within this. The yellow ones you can just see here is folded sequence. This is the Sitamundi anorthosite complex. Because of these three phases of major folding deformation, it has attained this outcrop pattern, and we have been able to work out the fold geometry also in all these cases. So this is our primary target for analysis. We know that we get the PGE in the ultramafic complexes. In this particular terrain, this is the this particular belt is having the ultramafic, that is the anorthosite, pyroxenite, and then the chromatite. So our target is first this one. So when we start, initially when we go for platinum investigations in a particular area, we know what are the rock types that are occurring within the complex and the associated gneisses. Then we start doing the orientation survey. So this is just to give a feel about the what is the Sitamundi layered anorthosite. You can see the cryptic layering of the plagioclase under the amphibold rich layers. This is known as the layered complex, and in the hinge zones, of course, we have the shearing and then sinistrals and some movement. And within this anorthosite, which is more of a gabbroic anorthosite with more amount of mafics here, within this gabbroic anorthosite, we have thick bands of chromitite. These dark ones, the massive ones, are the chromatite. In fact, the most of the PGs we get within this chromatite, chromatite bands only. Its width will be varying from 20 centimeter, 30 centimeter to as thick as a 5 meter, 5.5 meter. So the variation is partly due to that gravitational that separation at that stage of formation. Then subsequently it is tectonized due to the deformation, so that you will be getting stretching and boardinaging, and you will be getting thickening and thinning both along the strike as well as in the down dip direction, which we have proved in the subsurface drilling also. So our target is now this chromatite, this dark layers. These are the chromatides which we have to give. Now before we start we did the orientation survey. All the rock types we have collected representative samples. So when we analyze them for PGE, so we found that it is within the chromatite and the pyroxenate, we have the high values going up to 2000 to 4670 ppm. So we have narrowed down our target to these first three lithologies, that is chromatite and the associated pyroxenate. Now we are dealing in a metamorphosed terrain, mostly granulate tetrablated amphibole. We used to term metapyroxenate. Okay. So now the other things, anorthosite, we have very less, 230 ppb only, and then hornblende fluorite rock or the garnet eclogite, we are very less. So that's how we have to narrow down our target within the complex, which is to be focused for our further sampling. Once we know the target lithology, then we have to bring out a detailed map of the disposition of those target lithologies. That is the chromatite bands. These small bands are the chromatite. I told you it varies from 20 centimeter to 5 meters sometimes. So most of the time it will be 1 meter or less than 2 meter. This much only we will be getting, but they will be occurring as a different layers. I mean, parallel layers. That's why the term layered has come. So you can imagine how many chromatite layers are the bands that we are getting within this stretch. Within this stretch. So since it is mostly soil covered, so we have resorted to close space trenching. All these blue rectangle bars are the trenches. So in the trenches, we used to expose these chromatite bands and then try to correlate it by very close spaced control. We take it, and then with this total station we used to map all those things. Otherwise, the yellow ones are the anorthosite, and this is the chromatite bands. Then this is our Cantera hornblende biotite, which is not mineralized. So our target is this particular thing. First, initially, after mapping this and exposing them in the trench, then we will start sampling it. Surface sampling, wherever good outcrops are there. So we cut the groove. You can see the channel which we have cut. How are at least 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeter deep we have to cut, so that the fresh rocks are exposed in that. Then this main thing is that we have to study the variation within this. If it is 5 meter, we have to study the entire 5 meter band across the strike, and then see what are the perceptible mineralogical variation. Some places there will be sulfide rich, some places there will be chromate rich, some places there will be high amount of alterations. Whatever may be its relation with the PGE mineralization, that we will correlate after we get the analytical results. But in the initial stage, we must try to divide them into subsamples or the sample sets and try to sample them separately. And we generally keep within the chromatite, the sample width, we see that it doesn't exceed more than 50 centimeters. If it is 2 meter, we make it into 4 samples, depending upon the variations. But in the adjoining anorthosite, footwall and hanging wall, we keep it as a 1 meter, so that we will get more clear picture about this thing. This I will show you in the subsequent slides how this has helped us in bringing out the control of mineralization. Economic aspect comes next. Where exactly the PG is there and how much is there. On the surface, nobody will be able to sell. Copper, we can say visual estimation, it is having 1% or 2%. But in the PGE, nobody will be able to see till we get the chemical analysis. We have to keep our fingers crossed. And we can identify to some extent in the EPMA some of the grains, but the quantification can be done only after we get the chemical analysis. The surface sampling has to be very meticulous, not diluting with the country rock. When the chromite ends, just because it is 30 centimeter, I will combine the anthracite. That sort of thing you should not do it. The chromite has to be separately sampled, the anthracite has to be separately sampled. Then only you will come to know whether which is the lithology which is controlling this. Now, when there is no outcrop, the earlier one was the outcrop. When there is no outcrop, you open a trench, and in the trench sections, we go to the fresh surface. If it is for base of the bottom of the trench is very clear, you can collect it the sample, or in the trench walls, we log it and then we sample almost at right angle to the dip of this one. Then we will get the true width. So divide them into different samples, and then the contact the footwall zone another side we separately sample it, and you can see the analysis. It is up to 1000 ppm of platinum and palladium it coming here. In some cases, the palladium is dominant, in some cases, platinum is dominant. Nevertheless, it is coming around zero point 0.5 to 2000, 500 to 1000 ppm, which is quite good. 500 is ppb is the cutoff we generally take it for our exercise. So after completing the surface sampling and then delineating the zone, now we have to prove its depth persistence. Then only third dimension, when you get only you can make a, we can work out the resources for which we drill at right angle to the dip of that one, so that you will try to get the prove it depending upon the terrain condition. Even if it is a steeper angle, then you can calculate the true width based on the trigonometric calculations. So here you can see the core, one large core. I have kept it here in the left side of the photo. You can imagine, you can see the lighter one is the anorthosite, and this in between we have the chromated, the darker one. The color itself will be very conspicuous difference you can find out in this. The anorthosite and the chromated, the anorthosite cores you can see there are lighter ones, and you can see the foliation. It is all, this arrow is the core axis, so it is almost at the right angle we have planned to intersect it. So this particular thing is the first order target. Not that the we should not sample this. We should sample at least 1 meter on the footwall and 1 meter on the hanging wall to see the difference, to see the whether there is any mineralization in the footwall and hanging wall also. This is as far as the core is concerned. Now there are places where you will get the sulfides also within the chromatin. There is a circle we have made. This is based on our visual observation that there are some specks of pyrite, chalcopyrite, which you can see here. Are you able to see the sulfides now? So these are the sulfides which we get within this chromatite and then chromiferous metaperoxide. This is of course the anorthosite. Now here you can see I have kept a core box. This is what the sampling surface, just like surface sampling, the core sampling, core logging also it is very important, because when there is only anorthosite all along, then we need not we have only taken one sample on the hanging wall. Here you see this is the zone, typical zone of magma mixing, where there is anorthosite and this chromium rich ultramafic. This is more of a Mg rich megabonitic type. So here you can at least 2.3 ppm of platinum and palladium. First one is platinum, palladium you can see. Then the another one, the less. Then here this is the richest one, around 7%, 7 gram per ton you can 6.7 grams per ton of platinum. So based on this variation, once you sample them, then you will get the analysis. In some cases you will be getting a negative story also. So here you see apparently it looks like it is very compact and then richer in chromite, but the value is less. So here in this sort of mixed zones again we are getting it. But in the initial stage of exploration, we should try to divide them based on what we observe in this, the chromite rich or the sulfide rich and then anorthosite. These 3 or 4 subunits which you are able to make it and then sample it, then you will get a better control of the PG mineralization. Then of course later we can combine the adjoining samples to make it to the minimum stopping width for our resource calculation and other aspects. Now here, this will help you in appreciating how this lithological control is brought out by our systematic sampling, even if it is a 20 centimeter, 30 centimeter. Initially, this is the first regional exploration. So we wanted to document as much data as possible so that in subsequent exploration it can be simplified. Yeah, here it is a one borehole. After that initial this rubbles and then boulders and the loose soil, moraine, all those things, we get to the solid core. We started getting from 36.76 meter. So from that onwards, uninterruptedly, without any break, we have sampled all entire core till the bottom of the borehole. I have taken only only one portion of it, right from 36 to 56. Continuous sampling. You can see here the rock type. The red ones are the gabbroic anorthosite, whereas the blue ones are the chromatite. And correspondingly, you can see the value here. It is a continuous 37.26 up to that anorthosite. From 37.26, 37.6 is 40 centimeter, it is chromated. You can see here how the anorthosite is giving 10 and 15 ppb of platinum and palladium only. Immediately adjoining chromatite, how much it is giving? It's almost 1 ppm of platinum and palladium. So once we get into the anorthosite, again the value drops. You are able to see here. Then when there is some amount of chromite and anorthosite, when there is a mixer zone, that is actually the hanging wall zone, where we start getting up to nearly zero point 0.5 ppm. Then this is one zone, one sample, particular sample, where we get 22 ppm of platinum and palladium. You can see here this 4.4 by 6, you can see 7465, that is 7.5, you can take it 7.5 ppm of platinum and 14.6 ppm of palladium. So you can imagine about 22 ppm of this one. So such high values we get within that, but it is the 30 centimeter one. Since there was variation within that, we have separated that particular 30 centimeter, and the result is you can appreciate. And what is important is the rhodium. I told you the rhodium is 3 times costlier than your platinum and palladium. And here you can see the rhodium value. This 1 ppm of rhodium here, isn't it? So that's how this particular zone is very, very significant, but it is only 30 centimeters. Naturally, we have to make it as a zone of a minimum 1.2 or 1.5 is a comfortable zone. So we have to dilute it with the adjoining zones to bring it into the minimum cutoff of 1 gram per ton. And this is only to show you how the lithological control is brought out in this. So moment we get into the anorthosite, the value drops. Again, when we come into the metapyroxenate, the value increases. The chromatite are the main host for PGE mineralization in this thermodynamic. Even a small ones within the anorthosite, you can see the signature of the PGE within this chromatite. Again, here you see up to 1 ppm within this. Nevertheless, they are all very thin layers. That is the very disadvantageous aspect of this particular complex. We do not have the thick bands of this high value. This one. Now, here we have got the chemical analysis, which shows that this sample contains this much ppm of platinum and this much ppb of palladium. This is based on the chemistry. Now we have to corroborate whether really those type of things which we can find what type of mineral which is accounting these PGE values. So in order to characterize the mineral phases that are occurring within this, I told you the earlier, either it can be occurring within the chromite or chromite silicate contact or within the BMS, or the base BMS means base metal sulfides. So these are the mode of occurrences of PGM, platinum group of minerals, within this thermodynamic complex. This can be brought out only by your EPM studies. Here you see the basal ones are the the silicate, which will almost dark. This one, the reflectivity, you can see moderate. This is your pyrite, and this the high reflective grains always in the EPMA or SGM that you can suspect for the platinum minerals. This is actually a native platinum and palladium with a 92% of platinum and palladium 75. The together it makes 100. There is nothing else. This is a native plant. And here again, this I have already shown. We are having the bragite. These grains, tiny grains, are both platinum palladium bearing sulfide. And here you can see the high reflective grain, which is at the contact between the silicate and then chromite, which is again a palladium dominated bragite. And here this is within the chromite. So there are different modes of occurrences, either within the chromite or at the contact between chromite and silicate, or at the contact of the sulfide with the chromite or within the sulfide itself. This is the typical example of the early segregation when we get to within the sulfides. And this only just to characterize, you will see the crystal structure of that cuprate. Cuprate is nothing but a platinum sulfide, pure platinum sulfide. You can imagine, you can appreciate the crystal structure despite the three phases of deformation up to granulite or apamphibulite phases metamorphism. This particular grain has not been affected. Yes. So that is intact. That original grain morphology is still present. That is, and you can see it is essentially a platinum rich. So this is a bias. Is a biased. What I mean is, after getting the chemical analysis, we take only those samples which are giving high values of platinum. This is around 11.4 ppm of platinum and palladium. This particular sample has given. So we took these samples, make sections, and then see so that we can get the more amount of the platinum bearing minerals. So it is corroborated. Chemical results and the petrographic studies they corroborate. So if you summarize this one, the overall the exploration strategy is, now first we know there are the ultramafic rocks are there. So that terrain has to be thoroughly mapped, geological mapping supported by geophysical survey in case if it is mostly soil covered and the exposures are not very limited. Okay, ground geophysical or aero geophysical that can be made, and based on the lithology, target lithology you are looking for chromite, you can go in for your gravity survey, sulfides, EM or the IPSP, depending upon the nature of sulfides you get it. Then lithogeochemistry, that is the preliminary orientation survey, collecting lithogeochemistry, that means rock litho samples we get from the bedrock samples, we analyze and then see which is the target lithology we have. Then pedogeochemical surveys in the soil covered areas, the soil geochemistry or in the stream sediments also will help you in locating the hidden bodies. That is your nickel, copper and cobalt, they serve as the pathfinder for this. Just like your arsenic is for gold, here we consider the nickel, copper, and cobalt as pathfinder in stream sediments. Even the platinum grains are also in many places, Urals and others. The platinum tiny grains in the places, they also help us as a pathfinder to locate the primary source. Then, after completing the pathological studies, we try to make to identify the critical zone. Once we know the critical zones are identified and we have mapped it on a detailed scale, that is 1:2000 or 1:1000 even, depending upon the type of outcrop, intensity of outcrop you have in the field, then systematic sampling has to be done. As I have shown in one slide, how the variations are observed and then marked and then separated into different sets of samples. Then that will give you the surface control. Having delineated the surface control, then you can plan the subsurface drilling to target at a particular depth, 30-meter or 60-meter vertical depth. Then, and those cores are to be again logged and then sampled systematically, as I have shown you there. Then with the analysis with the high precision techniques, here these again, because they are occurring as a very tiny grains and they are occurring in ppb level, parts per billion level. So our analytical instruments has to be highly precise to determine these elements which are occurring in ppb level. So that this ICP-MS, inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry with nickel sulfide pre-concentration method is the best ascended. We are able to extract all the platinum in the sample by the nickel sulfide, and they form the pellet, and that is analyzed, and we get fairly reproducible results in our ICP-MS. Then, of course, once we get to the three-dimensional data, we can make the resource estimation, feasibility studies, and the evaluation of the prospect. This comes in your detailed exploration stage. So, whatever the regional exploration to identify the target, lithology, sampling, then your subsurface sampling, making three-dimensional picture, the evaluating the ore body delineation that we have achieved successfully, and based on this, about 1 million tons or so, we have just worked out in a small area of Tasumbalem block in this. So similar exercise we have to make in other terrains also. When we go into the any new complex, we have to study the entire rock types. We have to see what are the variations and what is the country rock contact with the country rock that also to be sampled in the initial stage, see whether there is any mineralization at the contact zone. Once we have narrowed down the target, then you can follow this systematic approach as I have shown in one of the case study of the Sitamunde complex, and we will be able to delineate ultimately whether it is economically viable or not. That is the economic axis and feasibility axis, something comes very next, and that will be taken at a higher level. Ours is mostly the geological axis, third one of the UNFC system. We are trying to evaluate it in any prospect. This is just I wanted to share as far as the PG exploration is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nathan, for such an enlightening and educating talk. Very few people in the world would probably have successfully explored and proved a platinum group of element deposits. It's a wonderful opportunity for students to learn from Dr. Nathan, and even for seasoned explorers, this would have been a wonderful learning opportunity. If you have some questions for Dr. Nathan, please register with the Mineral Exploration Academy. The registration is free, and after registration, you will get a form where you can actually ask questions to not only to Dr. Nathan but our entire expert panel. If you like the video, if you have some questions, feel free to interact. We are open. We are looking forward to discussing with our colleagues. Thank you so much, Dr. Nathan. And students and professionals, if you like the video, please subscribe and please register at the Mineral Exploration Academy. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the video. I invite you all to please visit the Mineral Exploration Academy website and register yourself. The registration is free, and registration is open to students, teachers, professionals, or anybody who is interested in mineral exploration. The registration will also provide you an access to be able to ask questions from our experts, and also provide an opportunity for established experts to answer and interact with the students. The registration form is available on the Mineral Exploration Academy website. I would also encourage you to look at the editorials and opinion sections and visit the student question and answer section at the bottom here. In the student question and answer section, the questions asked by the students are being answered by our experts. Our experts are the top people in the field, and it would be a wonderful learning opportunity for the students for probably the questions that occurred to you but you could not ask, or to review questions what have occurred to other people and get the answers the different experts are providing. Thank you so much, and I look forward to interacting with you a lot more.